Finding the value of c in this formula here, this turns out to be the circumference of a circle, 2 pi r, and we're given that r is the radius, and that's going to be 5, and we're going to approximate pi with 3.14. And of course, pi is irrational, meaning that the decimal really goes on forever with no repeating blocks of digits. So we're just going to get an approximation for this circumference. So let's substitute these values. We're going to get c equals 2 times pi. You know what? I'm going to write that in parentheses because I got too many dots. 3.14 times r, which is 5. Now, I'm going to get c equals 2 times 3.14 is 6.28 times 5. So c is equal to, when I multiply that, I got 31.4. This problem here is the area of a circle. So what we're going to try to do is approximate the area of a circle with radius 5, and again approximating pi with 3.14. So we're going to get that a is equal to pi, 3.14 approximately, times 5, but it's squared, right? Be careful. 5 squared, 5 squared. So I'm going to do it all at once on my calculator. I'm going to type in this. I'm going to type in 3.14 times 5, and then I've got a caret key that raises to powers. And when I multiply that out, I got a, come on now, a equals 78.5. Now, if we were actually finding the area of a circle, this would be 78.5 square units, square inches or meters or centimeters or something. But it's just a formula, so we don't have any units. So we're just going to say a is 78.5. Let's see what we can do about finding v here. Now, v is given by this formula here. Or here's our formula that the volume, I think this is the length times width times height. That seems to be the volume of a rectangular solid, like a box. So we're given that we want to find the volume. We want the length of the box is 14, the width is 3, and the height is 1. So let's substitute those values in here, 14, 3, and 1, and just compute. So we are going to get that v is equal to 14 times 3 times 1. So v is equal to, now 14 times 3, 4 times 3 is 12, 3 times 1 is 1, but carry, so I get 42 times 1, which is just 42. So the volume is 42 cubic something. Now we can get the value of v because we're given how to compute it. We're going to take 4/3 times pi times the radius cubed. This turns out to be the volume of a sphere. But if we don't know that, we're just doing a straight computation. So we're going to replace pi with its approximated value of 3.14 and r by 5. That's probably the radius of this sphere. So if we substitute, we're going to get that v is equal to 4/3 times pi, 3.14 times 5 cubed. All right, now I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to write 4/3 times 3.14 times 5 cubed is 125. Now, use your calculator and just type in this. 4 divided by 3 times 3.14 times, and you could even have done this. Right from here, we could have done 5 cubed. So when I do that, I get v is equal to 523.33, and the 3's just repeat, so I'll just do this. Now, when you're doing this on the calculator, by the order of operations, what's going to happen is that you're going to take 4 divided by 3. Then you'll take that result, multiply it by 3.14. Right? So don't worry about, if you want to put parentheses around here, that's okay, but you don't really need it. We've got a formula here in number 9. This looks to me like a simple interest formula. The interest is equal to PRT, the principal, times the rate times the time. And now in this case, we're given I to be 300. We're given R to be 2%. Change that to a decimal, 0.02. And T being 3. We're going to try to find the value of P. So let's just substitute all of our values in. So we will get P, or I, which is 300, equals P, that's what we're looking for, times R. Now, R is 2%, but write it as a decimal, 0.02, I'm going to write that, too many dots, times, I'll write that again, 3. All right, so what I've got here is that I equals PRT. And I was 300, P we don't know, we're trying to get that, times R, 0.02, times T, which is 3. Now we can multiply a little bit here, getting 300 equals P times 0.02 times 3 is 0.06. And all we need to do now is divide by 0.06 to get us P. So we're going to get 300 divided by 0.06. That's equal to P. And this is going to give us a P is equal to, well, here's what I know. Probably do this like this. 6 into 30 is 5, but then we've got some decimal place. So this is going to be a 5,000. Do that on your calculator if you like. So what this is actually saying is that if we did this, if we invested $5,000, invest $5,000 up here, $5,000 at 2%, left it in there for 3 years, we would make $300 in interest.